Fallout Equestria the Chrysalis, Chapter 19, Just Relax. After a delicious meal of grilled vegetables and a drink that made a passable attempt at being tea, Starlight and I returned to Emerald, who immediately dashed my one last hope.
Yeah.
Emerald said with a chuckle.
I wouldn't exactly call it a business, more like a hobby, but she certainly put some effort into it.
Starlight smiled a little, sounding genuinely surprised.
Huh. You know, I kinda thought that she just came up with it just to get her hooves on me.
Emerald laughed softly.
Oh no. She came up with it a long time ago to get her hooves on any mare that she could. The poor filly's never had any luck with love. Still, she managed to channel something productive out of it, and she's good too.
Starlight hummed thoughtfully, while I, still feeling suspicious, pressed on.
Okay. And how many of her customers get treated to wandering hooves?
Emerald leaned on the counter, giving me a knowing smile.
Best I can say is no pony's ever complained. As far as I know, she's never gone too far with a pony who wasn't receptive to her advances, and it really isn't my business what happens to the ones who were.
There was just a hint of color in Starlight's cheeks.
Well, we're not. Wouldn't be my business if you are or not,
Emerald said.
But as long as you're clear with Dazzle as to where you stand, I expect that'll be all there is to it. She might come out on as a bit strong, but she's good at heart.
She watched Starlight's skeptical expression for a couple of seconds before smiling and added,
If it makes you feel any safer, tell her I'll thump her head if she tries anything, okay, hun?
Starlight grumbled softly.
I guess.
After a moment, she glanced up again.
So, she's, good at that stuff? Oh, very.
Emerald said with a nod.
She's got a real talent for it. Well, okay then. I guess we can give it a try.
She glanced my way, seeking to reassure me.
We can always leave if it starts to get, weird. I suppose.
I said, even though I felt like it was already there. I turned to Emerald.
So, how exactly does a guard also run a spa? I've heard some strange business combinations before, but that's stranger than usual. Guard work is a voluntary thing.
She replied with a shrug.
Dazzle's taken to it well enough that the others consider her to be in charge, but it's all pretty informal. So long as at least one pair of eyes are on lookout, we don't need a bunch of ponies lining the walls at all hours of the day. She's usually up on the wall, but it's no trouble for her to slip away for some side business.
I suppose that made sense. I turned back to Starlight.
Okay. I'm gonna go up and talk to Dusty real quick, and then we can go.
We parted ways, and I returned to our suite. Dusty's reaction was pretty much as I expected. So, let me get this straight, he said, his expression a skeptical combination of amusement and annoyance. You argued with me to get the chance to go shooting, and now you're wanting to blow it off to go take a bath.
No,
I said, giving a wry smile.
I'm putting it off to stand guard over Starlight while she takes a bath.
Dusty let out a long sigh. Whisper, we're supposed to be here to relax.
I know that!
I replied, and quickly dialed back the harshness that had crept into my voice.
But Starlight's gotten excited by this idea, and I'm concerned about what might happen if I let Dazzle have too much time alone with her. At least if I'm there, I can make sure it's just a nice, relaxing evening, rather than something she'll regret.
The sound of empty bottles clanking in the next room preceded Sickle's entrance from her room. She was grinning, her eyes just a little too wide.
Ha! Some ponies jealous.
My ears pinned back as I fixed her with a glare.
Starlight is my friend, and I'm protective of my friends. Especially now. Mare friend.
Sickle teased, tongue lolling from the side of her mouth for a moment. Then, her ears flicked and she gave a full-body shudder. I scowled.
Sickle, shut up. Are you high? Fuck. Yeah?
Sickle replied just a little too loudly.
Buck and Dash. Dash is the best fucking hangover cure ever, and add in some Buck, it's just... Oh, fuck, yeah. I can do fucking anything! Except expand your vocabulary.
I dryly noted, actually earning a laugh from her.
Fuck words,
she said.
Anyway, you two have fun slobbering all over that weird mare. You can have her. A town like this has to have plenty of pent-up stallions ready for a good ride. Time to show these cunts how to fucking party!
Dusty groaned softly. Please don't get us kicked out of town. I like this town.
You would.
Sickle rumbled with a sneer, then turned to trot off.
Later, losers!
If you've never seen a pony that size trotting along in the upper story of a Wasteland-era building with an energetic, drug-fueled bounce to her steps, be glad. It could have easily passed as a minor earthquake. Dusty shook his head once. The thumping finally stopped. Well, maybe some pony should be keeping an eye on her. I smiled back at him.
Well, I'm watching over Starlight today, so have fun with that.
He gave a short, dry laugh. Hey, I need to relax too. He then sighed. Anyway, have fun. And I mean it. At least try to have fun.
I'll try,
I said, though from his look it didn't seem very convincing. I quickly changed the subject.
So, do you want to do the shooting thing tomorrow?
Yeah. Sure.
Okay then. I'll see you later.
I headed down the stairs to meet up with Starlight, and together, we set out. Dazzle's house was rather large, and while obviously of post-war construction, it appeared quite well made and sturdy, with a blue paint job that was only slightly faded and worn. The only unusual aspects were the large water tank beside the house, and a sign hanging on the front wall with the word Dazzles, painted in delicate curving letters. Starlight halted several yards away, staring at the sign for several seconds. I looked back to her.
Did you change your mind?
I was perhaps a bit hopeful. Instead, she slowly cracked a smile and snickered.
This is so stupid. I mean, I've ran into raider dens without a worry, but now I'm all nervous about going into a freaking salon. Well, it makes sense to me,
I said.
It's an unfamiliar and more uncertain situation with more complex possible consequences, where the danger is less direct and more abstract. It lacks the clarity of potential combat, and it's not surprising that it would be uncomfortable. Thanks,
she dryly replied, then gave a snort of amusement as she advanced towards the door.
It's still stupid.
Just seconds after she rapped on the door, it flew open to reveal Dazzle's grin.
Oh hey, you made good time! Come in, come in!
We shuffled into her living room and she shut the door behind us. Our hooves clopped softly onto the wooden floor, which was actually sanded smooth and finished with enough skill that it might have been passable back before the mega spells. The space was fairly sparsely furnished, with a trio of mismatched ancient couches around a more recently constructed coffee table. One wall had a line of bookshelves full of magazines. Starlight took one look at them, and color started to touch her cheeks again.
Are those porno mags?
Dazzle laughed.
No, those are fashion magazines. Mostly focused on beautification, main care, coat care, stuff like that.
She stepped past us, towards the hallway at the back of the room, giving Starlight a wink over her shoulder.
Though, I'm sure I could dig something up a little harder if that's what you're looking for. It's not,
Starlight replied, the color in her cheeks spreading.
Well, come on back,
Dazzle said as she reached the hall.
I've got almost everything ready to go. So, have you decided what exactly you want? Or shall I just go with the full deluxe treatment?
I made a point of suspiciously eyeing her, though I kept my expression otherwise neutral.
Well, that depends entirely on what you intend that to include. Now, strictly professional,
Dazzle said with a sly smile, before slipping into a more businesslike demeanor.
The full treatment starts with a thorough cleaning, down to the skin, and complete with one of the finest sets of beautification products available in the Wasteland. After that, there's a full trim and groom, hoofacure, a hoof filing for Star here, a few cycles through the sauna with cool-down sessions and warm and hoof baths in between, and all ending with a deep massage and a final touch-up grooming to make sure you leave here feeling as relaxed and beautiful as possible.
She smiled proudly at that conclusion. I had the immediate impression of some pony throwing down a challenge.
Sounds thorough,
Starlight said, though cautiously.
And, of course, I can customize the session any way that you like,
Dazzle said, her smile softening.
The whole point is to pamper yourself, after all. We can just start with that list as a baseline. Just feel free to make any requests that come to mind. Does that sound good?
Starlight nodded, and Dazzle grinned.
Good. Then let's get started. But first, as much as I hate to interrupt things with the talk of money, we should get that out of the way now. Even if I find a couple of beautiful mares to be a reward in and of itself, I'm still running a business, such as it is. Normally, I charge about 50 caps for a full session, but Emerald likes you. I'm a sucker for pretty mares, so I'll throw in a bit of a group discount and call it, say, 70 for the pair of two of you?
I've been to salons before. Compared to the prices I'd seen back before the fall of Equestria, that seemed on the low side. However, Starlight had no such frame of reference.
That seems like a lot of caps for some bathing and a massage. It's worth every cap and more.
Dazzle said, still smiling.
Trust me, that goes on the whole caps back guarantee deal too. When you walk out of here, you'll be thinking it's the best 70 caps you've ever spent.
Starlight chewed on her lip for a moment, but finally pulled out a pouch of caps.
We'll see,
I said.
Yes, you will,
Dazzle said with a wink, then turned to Starlight, who had moved the coffee table to count out her caps. When Starlight was done, Dazzle swept up the caps into another pouch, pausing for a moment as she fished out one of the uncrimped caps.
Huh, that's a funny looking one.
She turned it over in her hoof, then shrugged and dropped it in with the others.
Anyway, that's all taken care of, so let's get to it. Follow me.
She had an energetic, tail-swishing walk as we followed her down the spacious hallway of her home. We entered into what was easily the largest bathroom I had ever been in, with multiple doors in and out. An old bathtub that could have fit one of the princesses, or my own queen, with room to spare sat empty in the corner of the room, with a crude wooden framework built around it to hold it in place. The centerpiece of the room was the wide-open shower, with mismatched tiles in metal making for an effective shower floor, if not a terribly attractive one. The plumbing ran along the ceiling, exposed and ended in a showerhead that looked to have been made out of a metal bowl with tiny holes drilled through it. A rubber garden hose ran down to connect another, detachable showerhead, and an old pre-war model made out of faded plastic. Somewhere in the distance, I could hear a generator running. Back during the war, a salon looking like this would have been looked down on as a miserable pit, if not outright condemned. But with the way things were after the megaspells, it was rather impressive. Dazzle had put some serious effort into this. Not that it let me overlook that Dazzle had just led us into her own personal bathroom. That was something that still suggested a degree of intimacy to me. Ponies have a strong separation between private and public areas, and all manner of implications tended to stem from those.
Is the shower okay?
Dazzle asked.
There was a good storm a month back, so I've still got enough water for a bath, but I'd have to charge extra. The shower's fine,
I said, and Starlight nodded. Dazzle nodded.
Good. Then all I need you to do is strip down. You can stash your bags on the counter.
Starlight's expression tightened in alarm, especially when Dazzle motioned towards her leg.
Pipbuck too. You'll want to get cleaned under there pretty regularly.
When Starlight's hoof moved protectively over her Pipbuck, Dazzle added,
I can't really clean there when you're wearing it.
I set down my saddlebags.
We can clean ourselves. I can tell,
Dazzle said, smiling at me.
I'm curious. When's the last time you had a proper shower? Soap and all?
My ears twitched.
Almost a week ago,
I said, hiding a flash of shame that was, in hindsight, rather absurd. Dazzle laughed.
I know it! Goddesses, I love a mare who knows how to take care of herself.
She continued chuckling as she scooped up my bags and deposited them on the counter beside the large sink.
But anyway, another set of hooves does wonders for getting clean in all those hard-to-reach places, and while I'm sure the two of you could take care of yourselves, that's what you're paying me for. So, just relax and enjoy a bit of pampering, okay? Okay,
Starlight said, her voice full of reluctance, as she unlocked her Pip-Book. She set it reverently on the counter, her eyes lingering on it for a moment before turning back to Dazzle. Dazzle smiled at us.
Now, I'm afraid my business is still fairly small, so I've only got the single set of hooves available. I'll try to alternate between the two of you so you don't feel left out. So, who gets to go first?
Starlight and I exchanged glances, and I asked her.
Do you mind if I go first?
Not that I was eager to have Dazzle's hooves all over me, I just wanted to see what it was that she was going to do before she had a chance to do it to Starlight. Starlight simply nodded.
Well, step on up.
Dazzle said with a wave of her hoof before turning to walk to the back of the shower.
Time to get you all good and wet.
I fixed her with a flat glare as I stepped up to stand under the shower. She answered my glare with a snicker as she snatched back up the detachable shower head. A quick flip of one lever sent a cascade of warm water across my back.
Now, this is rainwater, so it's very slightly radioactive. It's fine for bathing, just try not to drink too much of it.
Flipping a second lever sent another spray from the shower head held in her teeth, which she used to spray the areas that the overhead shower didn't reach. She also didn't seem to mind the water, and by the time she deemed me suitably soaked, she was almost as wet as I was.
Go ahead and take a seat for a sec,
Dazzle said to me, then motioned to Starlight.
Come on in, let's get you ready.
Starlight hesitantly stepped under the shower, her short mane flattening to her neck as the water coursed over her. I kept a close eye on Dazzle as she sprayed down Starlight, especially the brief moment where she angled the shower head to spray along her belly. Once Dazzle was satisfied, she shut off the detachable shower head and hung it up again.
Now, you just enjoy the water for now,
she said to Starlight.
I'm gonna go get your friend here all lathered up real quick.
She stepped over to a cabinet, opening it to reveal dozens of different bottles. What followed was a series of questions about our coats, manes, and tails, until Dazzle finally selected a suitable set of bottles for each of us. While Starlight remained under the warm flow of water, Dazzle took one of the bottles and poured a small amount of liquid along my back. Then, she went to work, scrubbing her hooves through my coat, starting with my shoulders and working down along my chest. Naturally, this put her body very close to my own, something I'm sure was not at all unintended.
You've got such a clean coat,
Dazzle said as her hooves scrubbed down along the side of my chest, pausing for a moment to push back the hair and peer at the skin beneath.
Hardly any grease or grime. I am impressed. You must have found some good soaps or shampoos out there, huh? We found a little in some ruins a while back,
I said vaguely.
Well, I'd say you put it to good use,
she said with a chuckle.
You ever have any extra you want to sell? I'm always in the market. Or I could use it on you if you'd rather. I could give a huge discount for that.
Off to the side, Starlight snickered softly.
We'll keep that in mind if any of the wartime facilities we track down end up to be a day spa.
Dazzle laughed softly, her hooves finishing with my legs and moving to my side.
If you do, I'd certainly appreciate it. Emerald is amazing at digging up the most unusual and uncommon supplies, but I can always use more. She sure is,
Starlight said, smiling crossing her face.
I have no idea how she manages to get her hooves on a set of pip-buck keys. Well, she knows pretty much every trader in the region,
Dazzle replied, her hooves scrubbing down along my side and belly.
In fact, hold on, fair warning, getting to the tender bits.
My jaw tightened reflexively as her hooves scrubbed further down my belly and between my legs. My first instinct was to rear back and buck her, but I held firm. It would have been easy for her to give a little more sensual attention to those parts, but her hooves didn't linger, simply just working the shampoo into my coat, the same as she had elsewhere. Then she patted me on the flank.
You can relax again,
she said, a hint of teasing to her voice. I huffed out a quick breath, doing my best to relax, and she started to scrub down along my thigh.
Anyways, I was gonna say, Emerald's the whole reason I even started this project. Now, you might not believe it, but I used to be a shy, lonely little filly.
Starlight snorted softly.
Yeah, that's kinda hard to believe. But it's true,
Dazzle said, working her hooves along my leg. My tail flicked anxiously when her hoof rubbed along the inside of my thigh, but she didn't seem to notice.
Shy and quiet, no friends, no family, and the worst possible luck when it came to love. I was a sad, miserable little filly. Anyway, I came to Emerald hoping to get some of those porno mags you were asking about, so I could at least get to look at some pretty mares I could pretend might like me.
She finished with one hind leg, repositioning to sit alongside the other. I twitched a little when her hoof rubbed along the top of my inner thigh once more.
Anyways, I don't think she was comfy with the idea of digging up some porn to sell me, seeing that I was still a bit on the young side. I think she was overreacting a bit, but it turned out well enough. She got some trader to bring some fashion mags, and convinced me to take them instead. I figured, sure, why not? It still had a bunch of pretty mares to look at. Except, they also had some nice tips on how to get looking that pretty. So, I started trying some of them, and you know what? I liked it. Pretty soon, I got my cutie mark, and I'm strutting around feeling all pretty and happy. All of it.
I gave a dry snicker.
So you're saying we can blame Emerald for all of this?
Dazzle let out a loud laugh.
Yeah, I guess that's one way of putting it. She seemed pretty happy with how things turned out, for sure.
Her hoof slipped away from my ankles, then patted me on the flank.
Okay, let's get you back in the shower. Excuse a star.
Starlight stepped up out of the water, and I stepped in. Dazzle grabbed the second shower head and had me close my eyes before quickly working a bit more shampoo into the coat of my face, scrubbing and rinsing it out again. Then, she went to work washing over the rest of my coat, her hooves once again running all over my body, just as the water coursed over me. I was keenly aware of her body right up close to mine, just as soaking wet as I was under the shower stream. I tensed up once again as she leaned in, her hooves once again scrubbing down my belly and between my legs, this time accompanied by the spray of water she angled in there. Once again, she kept the attention purely professional, scrubbing and rinsing without any special attention given. But she hardly needed to. It's still a very delicate and sensitive area of the body to have another pony rubbing all over. It was thankfully brief, and she moved on to scrubbing along my legs. It was then that I finally noticed that Starlight was very intently staring at a blank wall away from us. Dazzle's hoof patted my flank again.
You go ahead and enjoy the shower. Relax some.
She then turned and stepped up to Starlight.
Okay, little star. Your turn.
So far, the spa session is going well, yes, but I don't want to jump to conclusions, because you never know what might happen. Anyway, I'd love to give a very special thank you to my relaxing donators. Top donator, Dash of Evergreen, Peter Coulthard, Dresdon, Dospo, RuneScythe9852, CourierCruz CI, Delta Omega, Ryanny Dragonwolf, Dwight Cornel, Gagi, Secret Moon, Tallrascha, Starlight Glimmer, David D. Sanchez, Trey, Pokekiller Zach, Soul Dragon, Dak Britton, Joe Pierce E, and Alex F. Thank you all very much for watching this video, and I will see you all in the next one.